and gentlemen, Gary Moore.
Nice to see you. I have a young guest here who I'm already very fond of, although I hardly know him, and his name is Louis Sada. Louis Sada, and Louis under his breath. This is your first time on any stage, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
As we walked out here, out of the side of his mouth, he says, "Look at that audience." Louis is not afraid of anything, and he has as his special guest today his big brother. Now, not big brother in the relative sense, in the family. You know the big brother movement whereby somebody takes on a young fellow who's not a member of his family to provide him male companionship that he doesn't have in his family. And Louis, first of all, let's just meet the panel, then we'll find out more about your big brother.
Gene Rayburn. Peggy Cass. Bill Cullen. And Kitty Carlisle.
That ain't nobody's brother over there, I'll tell you that. Louis, what is your big brother's name?
His name is Ernie Ortiz.
Ernie Ortiz. And how long has he been your big brother?
Well, he's been my big brother about 3 months or so.
Mm-hmm. And what do you and Ernie do together? What kind of things?
Well, we do many things in sports. We play football, basketball, baseball, we swim, go out on events, fish, things all like that. And
okay.
Yeah, we do educational things. We go to the library, museums.
Museums and things?
Study animal behaviors, things like that.
Some of everything. And you have a good time with it. Good. Well, you're going to have to go backstage and watch your big brother on the monitor, and we'll get you out here later. Remarkable young guy, really. Louis, thank you very much. Oh, isn't he great?
I'd like to be his big sister.
You can't do that. They don't have such an organization. Maybe you could start one.
Yeah.
Anyhow, at this point, let us say, well, I need a big brother because I've lost my courage. No, I haven't. I'll be with you, friends. Oh, yeah. Hey, it's a very complicated sentence I have. Now, let's meet Louis's big brother.
Number one, what is your name, please?
My name is Ernie Ortiz.
Number two.
My name is Ernie Ortiz.
Number three.
My name is Ernie Ortiz.
Okay, friends, let us listen to the brotherly biography of Ernie Ortiz. And it says, I, Ernie Ortiz, am an executive director for an organization known as the Big Brothers of America. In the United States today, there are more than 1.5 million fatherless boys between the ages of 8 and 17. These are the boys for whom Big Brothers provide the necessary male image to help them grow to manhood. It is a especially meaningful joy for me to watch boys bloom under the care of their volunteer Big Brothers. You see, when I was 12 years old, I was a fatherless boy. I became a petty thief and eventually joined a gang whose other members today are thugs, drug addicts, and robbers, some serving long-term prison sentences. I was the only one of the gang who had a big brother. He changed my whole life. Signed, Ernie Ortiz. Well, we'll let the gentleman over there settle in, and we'll pay a short visit to our big brothers, our sponsors. Hey, welcome back. Now, we have 3 gentlemen here, and they all say that they are Ernie Ortiz, an executive director of Big Brothers of America, and a former little brother himself. So let's start the questioning with Bill Cullen. Why not?
Number one, we see a lot of promotional spots on television asking for people to volunteer to be Big Brothers. In order to be a Big Brother to someone like Louis, is there an age limit? How old do they usually like the Big Brothers to be?
We'd like to have a big brother who possibly is of college age and above. Someone really interested.
What, number one, I'll stay with you, what is the outside age? What is the oldest that they want? I mean, they don't want Big Brothers like 75 or anything like that.
Well, we haven't set a limitation to ages. We feel that if a man feels he can service a little brother, then we will go through the screening and decide from there.
Thank you. Number 3, is there, after you become a Big Brother or before you become a Big Brother, is there any training, anything you're told about they want you to do with your charge?
Well, there are not any specific directives that you're given, but we do have social workers that work with the big brothers to instruct them in the general performance of that job.
And number two, in an average week, what is it you do for Lewis? I mean, how much time do you spend together, and what do you do?
With Lewis specifically?
Yes. Take a
Well,
minute.
with Lewis, I spend about 1 hour a week with him, normally on a weekend. We do all kinds of things that I would do with my own children.
Staying with number two, do you take him to...
I'm sorry, Bill, and let's go to Kitty.
Well, I'm a little bit at sea. Number three, it says you had a big brother, which saved you from a life of crime.
Yeah.
Was it a real big brother, or did you belong to this organization as a child?
Well, it was not a real big brother. It was a fellow that was referred to me, or I was referred to him.
I see.
Depending on how you look
Thank
at
you.
it.
Number one, does this organization demand that the people who become big brothers have children of their own?
They can have children, and again, they can be single.
They could be single. Number two, how long has it been going, this organization?
Well, the organization has been in effect now for about 70 years.
Oh, that long. And number three, is it countrywide?
Yes, it is.
And every city has some?
Not every city, but we have branches in Canada as well.
Thank you. Number one, where does the money come from? Is it on a volunteer basis?
We receive volunteer contributions. We also, some of agencies belong to the United Way.
I see. Thank you. Number one, you say you are also a big brother, although you are executive director for this organization?
Yes.
You do both roles?
Yes, ma'am.
I see. Thank you. Now, number two...
And finally, we go down to Gene Rayburn.
Yeah, number three, is this executive director, is that a full-time job, or do you have another job?
No, that's a full-time job.
Yeah. And number two, you remember the name of the gang that you belonged to when you were 12 years old?
Yes, I do.
What was that?
I don't know if I should tell you on TV.
Well, we can
the
blip it
Beacons.
out if you... What's that?
The Beacons.
The Beacons. Yeah. Number one, what was the name of your gang?
The Viceroys.
The Viceroys. Number three, well, how about your gang?
Our gang did not have a name.
Oh.
I think in equal time, if his number one's going to be Viceroy's, number three should be Winston's.
Number one,
Care of my own.
what other cities are you in other than New York?
Oh, well, we're in Tampa, we're in Miami, we're in...
You're all over the country, are you?
Yes, most cities.
Thank you, Gene. Peggy, you get last whack at this.
Number one, which city do you work out of?
Out of Tampa.
Thank you. Number two, you said you have to spend 1 hour a week with a child. Well, 1 hour a week doesn't do. You can't take your kid fishing in an hour. I mean, is that all you spend, an hour a week?
No, that 1 hour a week, let's say, is an average. There might be a week where I'll spend 4 hours with him. There might be a week where I'll spend a whole day with him.
Thank
It
you.
depends on the given situation.
Well, number one, is that all that's required is an hour?
Ideally, we request 1 hour a week, but it could be more depending on what they may have structured.
Thank you. Number three, has there been any thought of having a big sisters organization like a...
Yes, there has, and there's been some work in that direction.
Thank you. Number one, who started this and where?
It started in 1903 by Mr. Irving Westheimer in Cincinnati.
Thank you. Now, number three, how many kids are waiting for Big Brothers? I mean, have you got enough Big Brothers for the kids, or do you have extra kids that need them?
No, I'd say we have about half again as many kids waiting for Big Brothers as we have Big Brothers to serve them.
Thank you. Is New York, number one, is New York the hardest place to get a Big Brother?
We wouldn't say that, no.
Well, where do you have the biggest... Well, of course, it's the biggest city, so you'd have the most here.
And there goes that bell, and that means you got to pick up your crayons and mark down your opinions while the audience and I take another look at number one, and number two, and number three. If you know our show, you know we pay $50 for each wrong vote. We pay $500 if all the votes are incorrect, and Bill Cullen starts.
It's very difficult because they were all very good. Started out thinking for 2 and then 3. I ended up for number 1 because all the answers were excellent. And number 1, just the look on his face. He looks like if I had a big brother, he can be my big brother. We could exchange glasses.
All right, so you got a 1 going there, and Kitty?
Well, I think number 2 looks Irish. And he also said the Beacons. It's awfully highfalutin for a gang. Number 1 said things like structured. And Mr. Westheimer from Cincinnati sounds right to me because a lot of very nice German people settled in Cincinnati. So I voted for number 1.
Boy, that's way around the corner, but we got a pair of 1s and Gene Rayburn coming out.
Well, they all have a warmth about them so that they certainly could fulfill this role of being big brothers. I voted for number 1. His answers seem to ring a little more true than the others.
We're beginning to get mumbles from the audience here. There's a little disagreement. So let's find out if Peggy's going to go along.
Well, I almost didn't vote for number 1 because he said the United Way. But that's in Tampa. Maybe they don't call it the United Fund down there. So I, too, went for numero uno.
Well, there you go. We're either awful right or awful wrong. Now, as we learned earlier, Ernie Ortiz came from a background that might very well have resulted in his following a life of crime, and the fact that he did not can be in large measure credited to his own big brother, gentleman by the name of Mr. Sam Tolkoff. So, who better to pick out former little brother, Ernie Ortiz, than his former big brother, Mr. Tolkoff, who will come out with young Lewis, representing a third generation. So Lewis and Mr. Tolkoff, come out and show us who's the real Ernie Ortiz. Three. What do you know about that? See, went right to him, just like a brother to a brother. And they're all going back to number 1. Good shot, gentlemen. Number 2, sir, what is your real name? What do you do?
My name is Glenn Simos. I'm a vice president with Benihana of Tokyo Steakhouses.
Number 3, sir, what is your real name? What do you do?
I'm R.J. Lefkowitz, and I'm a writer.
Mr. Tolkoff, maybe you can answer this question. I'll throw it up for any one of the 3 of you. If any of our listeners want to become big brothers, how do they go about it? Who do they write to? Mr. Tolkoff, do you know, or had I better leave that to Ernie?
I'll answer that. If you're interested in becoming a big brother, you should contact the local agency in your area or otherwise write to Big Brothers of America in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania.
Big Brothers of America in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania.
Yes.
Okay, well, Mr. Tolkoff, Louis, Ernie, gentlemen, thank you all very much for being with us on To Tell the Truth. Somebody asked if you have to be married to be a big brother. My son, Gary Jr., who is not married, has a little brother, and he brought him down to the Bahamas to visit us, and he'd never been fishing before in his life, and we took him out deep sea fishing, and we were all fishing at the same time. We had 4 rods going. He got the first strike, and it was an 8-foot shark. Don't you think he had stories to tell when he got back to Columbus, Ohio? It's a great organization, Big Brother. Well, all righty, now next to death and taxes, the most unavoidable problem today is in America is the muddle of mass transportation. True. Now it's possible that a gentleman here has the answer. Possible. Stay tuned. Panel, you all batted 1,000% today, and I, for one, do not like a smart aleck. But you have a chance to be dumb the next time around. We'll see you then.
Our central characters today will receive a Samsonite Silhouette Beauty Case in new wild strawberry color, featuring magic hats and pop-up mirrors and bark-matted trays. Samsonite, we make travel a little easier. Prizes or product matches were furnished and or paid for by the manufacturers or suppliers of the products or services identified on this program. This is Johnny Olson speaking for To Tell the Truth, a Mark Goodson, Bill Todman production.
Get my